Hello everyone, welcome to Wrestling Royalty, welcome to Give Me a Hole Yeah, and welcome to another Friday night feature. And as you can see by the title, we are here tonight to talk about Bash in Berlin. Over in the UK and over in Europe, SmackDown has not long wrapped, so we have seen what is kind of the go-home show, I guess, going in. But there's a few hours until our friends over in America can see that SmackDown, I believe, over on Peacock or whatever it is that you watch it on. But welcome. And really good to see everyone in. I can see our trusty moderator, Mark, has been doing some house rules. As he has said, he's bringing it up there. This is a Bash in Berlin show. We're not going to be talking about some of the stuff that's been going on outside of wrestling, especially not when it comes to such serious matters as the stuff that's been going on with Nikki Garcia and, the potential domestic violence arrest that's happened. So that is as far as we will take it. We are here to talk about wrestling. As always, we don't get into politics and things like that. Sometimes wrestling politics, but never about real life politics. We're here for you to escape all this kind of things. So I hope you enjoy the next however long it's going to be. I'm going to make it a quick one tonight because there's only 5 matches on the card. It's a very short card. We'll have a bit of a chat about that as well in terms of whether you like it or not. So put in the comments straight away, the big question for tonight. Do you like these shorter cards by WWE? Because it's not that long ago when you go back to WrestleMania 35, where it was a really bloated roster, a bloated card, whereas these are very succinct, very short, snappy 5 matches or so. That's the kind of the big question is, do you enjoy them, or do you like to see more matches on the card? Do you want to see more opportunities, or does it make it special if you're on the card, if that makes sense? So let me know what you think. Do you like them, not like them? Would you change anything? Would you add 1 or 2? Would you even take it away maybe? But it seems to be every match now means something, in my opinion, on a premium live event card. So everyone who's on there knows they're going to get some time to tell that story. This is the big blow off as well for many storylines as well. So we'll get into it. We're going to go through each match by match, and we'll hopefully hear your predictions, what your thoughts are on the matches as we go along. So make sure you drop it in the comments. I think it's just me tonight, so Sam, fresh off of his choice of words, shall we say, at AEW's conference, as basking in his newfound fame, he won't be joining us tonight. So we'll be cracking on together. So this works so much better if you want to have a conversation with me in the chat, in the comments. Make sure you put them down. I'll read the best ones out as always. Keep it clean. Otherwise, our moderator, Mark, will be in for you. But I really appreciate Mark being here. And I can see a couple of other people as well. John's in. He says, hey, Andy. Nice to see you, John. Thank you for joining us on a Friday, as always. Got the real chief, the Philly Eagles fan. Edge returned to join the New Judgment Day. I think he's enjoying his life over in AEW at the moment and that kind of different style of wrestling. I think he's kind of enjoying sinking his teeth into that. So I don't expect that to happen, but maybe one day he'll return to WWE. But I would say at the moment he's very much enjoying what he's doing across there, or has been anyway. So yeah, not for me, but we'll see. Mark's straight away answered. He said it's been said the shorter PLE cards are expected to stay. Yeah, I think that's likely. I think outside the big 4, what's the point in kind of putting too many matches on, make them mean something? I still think there's other matches that deserve to be on there. We've been kind of heating up the Wyatt 6, but they're nowhere near this card or the last card or SummerSlam, which was a bit of a bigger card. But anyway, they're not there. They're kind of doing their stuff on Raw, and hopefully they'll soon enough have a some sort of big blow-off match at a premium live event, maybe Bad Blood, which I believe is the next one after this. So let's throw up some visuals. You don't want to see me. You want to see some superstars instead. So we're going to kick things off, and we've got a women's tag team championship match going on as well. This feels like it's like we've been skirting around this one. We've had variations. We've had 6 women tag matches and things like that. The Unholy Union versus I don't think the Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill have got a name yet. I think they just go by their own. But it does seem to be a bit of a sort of default setting for WWE that they'll put on a women's tag team championship match at these European shows. I'm pretty sure we saw one in Lyon and for Backlash, and then we saw another one when they were the current champions won their titles in the homeland of Scotland. So yeah, it feels like it's a thing for Europe and a chance for the women's tag team division to get a little bit of a shine. So they have to do something here that's going to be interesting because, as I say, I feel like we've seen this a lot on SmackDown where these teams have in some way, shape or form been going against each other, even when one had the titles and the other one didn't have the titles. But I quite like what Unholy Union are doing at the moment. I kind of feel like the addition of Blair Davenport also brings a new level in it. So whether she kind of sticks around with that team or she goes off to do her own thing, carrying on against Naomi, that's an interesting one. I could see both Blair and Naomi getting involved tomorrow night, and that being the way that they kind of get through it. But I think at this stage, is it time that they break Bianca and Jade up a little bit? Maybe we see a Jade heel turn or something, or maybe even a Bianca heel turn, which would be a bit of a turn up for the books. We obviously saw her kind of arrogant, cocky character back in NXT, where she used to sort of smack her chewing gum and stuff. So I think it's maybe time that they split this team up and go into a rivalry against each other, which I always presumed would happen at some point. But maybe tomorrow night's the one. We saw, if you cast your mind back to last year at Money in the Bank, we saw the team of Ronda Rousey, and when they were tag team champions, and she was tag team champions with Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler shockingly turned her back, and that led to it. So maybe we'll see that. But as Mark says, for him, Bianca needs to be the heel. I agree. I think there's more stock in both of them going that way. I think it would help both of them because I feel like Bianca could easily, in that feud in particular, wrestle as the heel. And I think it's slightly easier to wrestle as or perform as a babyface for Jade, where she's still kind of like learning a trade. And obviously that would be for a singles competitor as well, where she'd be going off on her own. I feel like the chemistry should be there by now between the two, and they should have been working on it if that is going to happen. But it does feel like if they were to lose tomorrow, maybe that's the way that we go with it, and it's a storyline coming out, because we want storylines going in, but we also want something to enjoy coming out and look forward to on SmackDown next week. And, the idea of Jade versus Bianca, I think, is a good one. I think Unholy Union should win. I'd like to see them more because I think they're improving. So, yeah, just keep it going. I think they should be going down to NXT and defending as well as Raw and SmackDown as well. So I think Unholy Union are going to be winning this one. Moving on, and there's a lot of big matches, I guess, or like there's a lot of storylines going to some of these matches. So this one in particular was heating up at SummerSlam, and this is number 2. And I think I'm going to go straight away. I'm going to kind of have to show my hand. I think CM Punk's winning this, and it's going to become a trilogy match. The third one being something like Hell in a Cell, but at Bad Blood, we'll see some sort of payoff. It'll be, the overall winner will be crowned there, because I kind of feel like they had that ace up the sleeve for Seth. That set up that Drew could take that win. But I also just think that we're going to see CM Punk win this one, because I just feel like if he were to lose 2 against Drew, it really kind of damages character. There's bits of this I've been absolutely loving. I'm not sure I'm keen anymore on the sort of infatuation with getting the bracelet back. I kind of get what they're going for, but in the bigger picture, I feel like it's kind of run its course. Yes, CM Punk would like it back because of sentimental reasons. It's got his dog's name and his wife's name on there, and yes, I get that, but I also just feel like it's a bit petulant, a bit childish now, and it's kind of one of those, this should go deeper than a bracelet, and I know there's that sort of symbolism involved, but yeah, for me, Punk's got to win this one, but I also think they should just give it as long as they possibly can and let them just absolutely beat the hell out of each other with the strap, and tell that story and progress it on. So you want to see the brutality of whatever that payoff's going to be at Bad Blood, because let's face it, they've got this on set, and then they'll probably have CM Punk versus Seth will be the next feud after this, if not the kind of one after that. But it definitely feels like they've kind of sowed the seeds for who could be next. But also CM Punk at some point is going to want to go on to have some title shots. So you can kind of sneak that in if Steph's kind of taking some time away to heal up and come back eventually. But yeah, I expect big things from this match. I thought their first match was okay. I think it could have been even better. And maybe that's why, we were left something in the tank a little bit. And that will be awesome to kind of see if they can up it each time and then just pay off at the, in the third match. So maybe that's where we see Seth get involved again, where he costs Punk. But I know obviously the way that Seth's been written out, do we see, Bronson Reed versus Seth for a little while? Because that's an interesting matchup. I'd be keen to see that for both Bronson Reed and Seth. But I can see nothing but a CM Punk win here, surely. I heard about the humorous signs that they had. Was it Drew? Was it McIntyre or something? That was up at the kickoff show before SmackDown, and Drew was saying, "I'm the most ripped person on the entire roster." But yeah, it looked like the German fans were having some fun as well. Which is great to see. That's what you want. You want loud audiences. They obviously had a big moment tonight. LA Knight, spoiler alert, he has an open US Championship match, and a native comes out. I shall leave it there, though. I won't kind of go into it anymore. But the German crowd was very much behind the native who came and answered that US Championship call. And also, we'll get into it, but let's face it, Gunther's not German. He's Austrian, and they kind of have painted him to be it. And apparently, there's a lot of chatter in Germany where they're not very happy that Gunther is being painted as German when he's actually not. And we really shouldn't go into what happens with Austrians in Germany. But anyway, let's carry on. Mark says Punk versus Drew should open. He wants to see this one first. That would be a ripping. That would be a very good way to start the premium live event. I think they'll go middle of the card for this one. I haven't kind of put these in order particularly because I think that a great way to open it in terms of a spot for them is to let the Women's Tag Team Championship finally open. But Triple H, going back to his NXT days, generally puts the women's match on at second on a 5-match card. And it normally sucks the life out of it. So I do feel sorry for them. They're always in a bit of a dead spot. So for their sakes, I'd like to see them come out first because let's face it, they're not going to go on last. But I think it'd be awesome for them to open the show and just try and put on a barnstormer. But I would not be mad to see this open. I think it would be a hot start for Bash in Berlin, get the crowd going, show us some brutality. But for that reason, I think they might push it back further down the card, maybe even second last, just to break things up a little bit. He thinks, this is leading to a Punk win, and Seth is likely to face Punk at Mania. Let us know in the comments if you agree with any of that. And while you're there as well, make sure you hit that subscribe button for both Wrestling Royalty and Gimme Ho Yeah, whichever one you're watching it. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps push us. I want to see more of you in the comments. I want to have conversations. That's what these are all about. So let me know what your predictions are for CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a strap match. So, yeah. Whatever happened to the one, I don't know what it was called, where they had the sort of, is it Texas Bull Rope match where they had to touch all 4 corners? They were pretty cool matches. I enjoyed them. You don't see them all too often, especially not in WWE. So I think it'd be really cool for them to bring that back at some point. But the strap match just seems to be a generic sort of go-to. But yeah, CM Punk seems to like these after his dog collar match. Was it against MJF last year, the year before? But yeah, he seems to like to be sort of lashed together with people. So apparently this is how they are doing the strap match. That's cool if that's how they're doing it. I thought it was literally just going to be they were just going to beat each other up and just be kind of strapped together. But I must have missed something. But yeah, the 4 corners match is the one I was talking about. Obviously, I'm not paying attention. We've got the Terror Twins versus Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan in a tag team match. This is an interesting one. We spoke, if you go back and watch after this one, we spoke at length about Dominik Mysterio. He was the subject of, I think it was 2 weeks ago, possibly even 3 weeks ago now, when we had a chat about the Friday Night feature, was all about Dominik Mysterio and his upside and like how improved he's become and is he the most improved ever? But yeah, I'll be interested to see if how they go about this one because they've built this into such a hot storyline and people really want to say they want to see this. They want to see Liv Morgan and they want to see Dominik Mysterio get their comeuppance. And Rhea Ripley and arguably I'd also say Damian Priest is probably more over now than he was when he had the title, which is a great win. So I think the Terror Twins, or the awful name that they're getting called at the moment, I think this has got to be one of those ones where a loss doesn't touch them, so it's fine. They can take a loss. And I think if you want to build up Judgment Day as any kind of legitimate threat, I think you need them to win, and they can win by any nefarious means possible. The rest of Judgment Day can get involved, absolutely. I think I expect that to happen. So, as Mark said, Dom badly needs a premium live win. Yes, he does. It's all well and good him having his arse handed to him all the way through the match, but I kind of feel like he then needs to get a really sneaky pin at the end. I also worry Liv Morgan as the women's champion needs to be presented very strongly. If she's not, then it kind of damages the title as well as her and her credibility. But I also think, quite frankly, at some point they've just got to split Rhea and Damian up and let them go do their own things, because yeah, I get why they would kind of like feel like they've been abandoned, and they've kind of found each other to help and scratch each other's back to get what they need out of this. But after this match, I kind of just feel like they've got to move on and do their own thing and become legitimate again. But so for me, I would just say let's have Dom and Liv win, have the rest of Judgment Day get involved. But yeah, this has to be it as well. If you want to go back, and obviously I say go back and watch that Dom one, I speak more at length about whether he is the most improved, and I'd still love to hear your thoughts on that one. But we've got the tag team champions here, we've got the women's champion here, we've got Dominik, who's probably the guy who gets booed out the building the most. Judgment Day needs to be built up, because having two people run through 5 of them doesn't make them look any kind of threat moving forward, especially when they've got that much gold around them as well. Mark thinks that Liv's already been damaged because Dom turned on Rhea and it overshadowed her win. I don't know. I kind of feel like I get what you mean, and it really could have done, but I also feel like at the same time it's helped Liv's character more than anything, because having her as sort of love struck or kind of involved in that, I get that. But I also think they've attached her to the person who's an absolute heat magnet at the moment. So she needs to have some of that charisma rub off on her and some of that reaction to rub off on her, because before this, I don't think she was getting the kind of reception that you'd want. Whereas now you can have Dom help her win matches occasionally and be that sort of almost like male valet for her, and vice versa. And I kind of feel like at some point she'll help him win a title of some description. And they can kind of be that sleazy couple that you don't want to see on your screen, but you also can't kind of look away from. So I think those guys are going to be going over the Terror Twins at Bash in Berlin. On that one, sorry, Chris, good to have you in, my friend. Said Dom and Liv wins. Absolutely, I completely agree. We've got what might close the show. This might be the headline match of the night. Gunther is going to be defending his championship against Randy Orton. Randy Orton, who obviously has kind of come across from being very predominantly featured on SmackDown, and he came across on Raw and challenged him. And Gunther has been the kind of face, I guess, of the Bash in Berlin premium live event. And it's probably because he did a lot of wrestling in Germany, but he is Austrian, and it's not obviously too far away in the grand scheme of things, especially not when your audience is in America. But I also just wonder if they're kind of painting him out to be a hometown hero. But also, I just like the idea of Gunther versus Randy Orton. I think this Randy Orton in particular, coming back, he's absolutely jacked. I think he's enjoying wrestling. I think he's got no pressure on him. I think he's here to help the future of the company while also just enjoying his last however many years he's got left in him. Mark said it earlier on, I think his contract that he signed last was a 5-year deal. If his body holds out for the rest of it, I think he'd be happy. I think he just wants to go on his own terms. He wants to enjoy what he's doing. We saw him very much enjoying his run when he was in tag team with Matt Riddle before that kind of went south and he got that massive injury and etc. But I think it's an interesting one that Randy Orton is very prominently positioned here because he is a believable threat. like the whole thing he's based his career around is he's got the RKO that could just happen at any time and win the championship. I would be so shocked if he wins the record leveling title tomorrow. I just don't see it personally. I think he's there to make Gunther look better than he already is, which is hard. But I think this will also be a fantastic match. I think this should be, given enough time, one of the ones that we see prominently featured at the on the best wrestling matches of the year. I really think they have that potential. Gunther pulls that great matches out of anyone, and Randy Orton, he's an absolute stalwart of WWE now. He's one of the most experienced they have. So I think together they should be able to put on a great wrestling match, and it will be a wrestling match rather than a sports entertainment match. But I'm really looking forward to this one just to see how amazing it can go. Or maybe, as Mark says, Gunther just destroys Orton completely, kills the legend killer, as it were. But I think you want Gunther to just continue to look really strong. I think some of his mic work needs to be tightened up a little bit just to get that audience reception a little bit more, because I think, there's this horrible tendency, if you're not from America and you speak with any kind of accent, people do the what chants, people get a little bit bored, etc. So I just want to see a little bit more on the mic from Gunther moving forward, just to push him into that real top echelon. But yeah, we'll see. Moving on, but yeah, Randy Orton. Let me know what you think of this run, whether it would be the last one or anything like that. But I'm interested to hear what people are thinking of Randy Orton in 2024 and how history will look back on Randy Orton. I'm sure at some point we'll feature, do a Friday night feature on him and his career. But for now, like, it's just a joy to see him back in and kind of enjoying it and steering into it. And then he's obviously now got this beef with Machine Gun Kelly. So let's see if anything comes out of that, and whether it's legitimate or if it's just a Twitter or storyline angle, because MGK has featured. He was there at SummerSlam. So let's find out if anything more happens coming up. Chris says, my heart says Randy Orton wins, but it's going to be Gunther. Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people who are in that camp of like kind of wanting Randy Orton to chase down that record. But for me, I'm a John Cena guy. So personally, I'd rather have John Cena go for one last one to beat Ric Flair and move on to be, in his own right, the greatest champion or the most prolific champion any has ever seen. Final match, because as I said at the top of the show, there is only 5 matches that have been announced, and we've got Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. This has been an interesting build because I'm still seeing a lot of chat on social media where people just don't kind of appreciate what they're doing with Cody. There's sort of all sorts of theories that this will eventually turn into some sort of Homelander or heel turn, and and how we get there should be really interesting. But at the moment, it's very much a case of like, you helped me get through the bloodline stuff, Kevin Owens, so I'm going to reward you with this. Kevin Owens has kind of been very uncomfortable in his own skin, saying he doesn't deserve it, almost turned it down. But yeah, really interesting to see whether we go full all the way and see Kevin Owens go back to being a heel. I kind of want to see it, because although he's turned a lot of times over his career into a heel, I just think he's one of those guys who's incredibly talented. The audience always responds to. He looks more dangerous when he's a heel. He's, like he's got a sharp tongue on the mic. He seems to enjoy it more when he's a heel. When he's a face, he does that kind of like, almost like a Deadpool breaks the fourth wall. Seems to be the only person in the entirety of WWE who has any kind of long-term memory. It's been great. The comments he made about all those guys that I kind of portrayed deserved it, other than Kofi Kingston. Love that. And again, Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes has the potential to be a banger. Like if you let them just wrestle the way that they would have wrestled on the independent scene, or whether it be over in LA, or let me think where else. Like, I don't know if they've ever met outside of WWE before, but it's fantastic to see. As Mark said, there's a lot of sort of speculation over Kevin Owens and his contractual status and how long he's got left on it. He's saying he wouldn't be surprised if there's a little sweetener to get KO to sign a new deal. I guess it would only really be a sweetener if he actually gets the title, because having a title shot's all well and good, but he had a title shot against Roman where he was kind of screwed because the referee screwed things up about when really Roman should have been counted out. I kind of like the fact he's referenced that previously, but we've had this tease whether he will actually just turn his back on Cody the way he has so many other people, Sami Zayn, twice, 3 times, 4 times, whatever it is now. But I loved the bit last week where it looked like he could blast Cody with the belt from behind, but just then kind of threw the belt at him. It also paints a good story for Cody of always picking the people who will give him great matches, whether it be AJ Styles or, I guess Solo Sikoa. In some respects, that's a very different one. Randy Orton is definitely going to be up in the future. I'd imagine maybe that's a WrestleMania next year. But he's picking the opposite of what Roman did, and he's trying to make sure he doesn't. He's not labelled with anything else other than being a workhorse, and that's all he wants to be, is like shown to be. I'm here each and every week. I'm on every premium live event. I'll defend my title. I'm absolutely the opposite of Roman Reigns. So that's the kind of story that I think they're painting at the moment before they move on to anything else. They're making sure he has these big 20-minute matches where people will go, oh, that was really cool. But I think it's a great spot for Kevin Owens to be back in, and it's well-deserved as well. So let me know. Who do you think? Kevin Owens, is he going to win it? Has it been long enough for Cody to be able to drop the title yet? Or is it there a long way to go in the story or the next chapter of the story? So I'm keen to see it. I personally think Cody will be winning and defending here, but I would love to see Kevin Owens go full heel afterwards and just absolutely destroy him and then have something at Bad Blood. Because if we're going into Bad Blood and it's in Atlanta, and Cody Rhodes has a lot of ties to Atlanta, he was heavily featured in the trailer when they announced it for being in Atlanta in his stakeout car. If you're going to do that and it's called Bad Blood, then give him something to have a good feud with. Otherwise, what's the point? You're just going to have a new guy every time. But for me, I just think it would be awesome to have Kevin Owens turn heel, absolutely destroy him, do his crucifix powerbomb or whatever it is on the edge of the apron, and then that leads into something more at Bad Blood. So yeah, watch this space. We've got Chris who says Cody Rhodes retains. Mark says Cody is keeping it till February at least. That'd be interesting. February being Elimination Chamber, I think it is, if they kind of keep it around where they were before. Oh no, sorry. This is the first year where Royal Rumble's in February, isn't it? So I don't know if you're saying that he might lose it at the Royal Rumble. I think Cody will have it at least until Mania next year, if not longer. I think Triple H really likes the longer term World Heavyweight or World Championship reigns. But yeah, interesting one. I'd love to hear it. So like, if you've got any more comments, if you're not watching this live and you're watching it after the fact, leave me a comment. I'll respond, I promise. So either on Wrestling Royalty or give me a hell yeah. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe. As I said, this is only a 5-match card, so we don't need to have this any longer than it needs to be. I really appreciate everyone tuning in, but let us know if you're really excited for Bash in Berlin. Make sure you subscribe and then hit that notification bell, because I've heard on the group chat that there might be a live stream watch along with the guys on Gimme Hull Yeah. So if you do want to know and you want to watch along with either Dan or Sam, etc., I think it's going to be Dan. The only way to know that and when it drops is to have that notification turned on when you subscribe. Do the same for Wrestling Royalty. We like to keep you on your toes and select something last minute to make sure we're talking about the biggest thing in wrestling in the week. Also, we want to say big shout out, well done AEW for their showing at Wembley. The whole card was great. I thought the fans were great as well. Really awesome to see wrestling in general being great. And getting great crowds in. So it doesn't matter if it's dropped off from the last one. They're there. They're doing a Wembley show, and no one can ever take that away from them. They put on a hell of a show as well. Daniel Bryan's match is great. It got Will Ospreay's match was fantastic as well. So yeah, and then our own Sam and Dom were in the post event media scrum thing. And you might have seen Sam went a little bit viral over the weekend. I hope it doesn't go to his head. But he will be back soon. He's enjoying a weekend off after his full-on weekend of wrestling last week. But yeah, Sam, go check out his Twitter feed, because he was having a bit of a conversation with Taz and Tony Khan after his question last week on the SDW Championship. But go check it out. You can see the whole story over on over on X and see how that played out for him. But I really appreciate everyone who's joined in. There's also an NXT show, by the way. There's a No Mercy on the Sunday, this Sunday, I believe. So if you are a big NXT fan like me, there's a lot to look forward to there. I'm not going to do any preview on it, but I'm excited to see it. You've got Joe Henry challenging for the NXT Championship match, and Trick Williams is going to be the special guest referee against Ethan Page. So yeah, go check that out. Really interesting matches over on NXT. I'm excited for it. I think it's great. It's awesome to see Joe Henry when I've seen him in the likes of North up here in Newcastle in a brewery, and now he's holding the NXT Championship title aloft, just a couple of days removed from his big match. He might go back to TNA after that, but I think he's done himself the world of good, and his star is rising and continues to rise. So I'd love to see him as NXT champion, and that would solidify that relationship with TNA. But I don't know. We'll see. But as Mark said, I think we're doing a show tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I saw it on the group chat. So make sure you keep an eye on those social media. Make sure you have that notification bell on. I'm going to leave it there for tonight. But I really want to say thank you very much. Enjoy all the wrestling this weekend. There's loads of it. I believe it starts tonight. You've got a SmackDown. There's also a TNA. I believe that there's a main event where it's Josh Alexander versus Nick Nemeth for the title. Hour-long Iron Man match. Go check that out as well. NXT, Bash in Berlin, loads. So yeah, go check all that out. Awesome. And I will see you next week. I'll be back next week with another Friday night feature. But for now, I've been Andy. This has been Wrestling Royalty. This has been Gimme a Whole Yeah. And I will catch you next week.